Hello, everyone. I hope everyone is having a fabulous afternoon. So, on the agenda this time around, I want to talk about faith. I think it's necessary to talk about faith and the impact derived from that concept in particular. We always talk about some of the things that are guaranteed to transpire in our lives, two of them being death and taxes. Both components are inevitable, there is no other way around them. However, I also want to bring up two things that are guaranteed to work if we deliberately orchestrate them appropriately as it pertains to our life. These two things being having overwhelming faith, as well as initiating prayer to God, conversing to God into your secret place, ladies and gentlemen. Those two things will be able to make things shift, and it'll be able to cause things into your life to convert into something fruitful, I would say, as long as we deliberately initiate these two factors. It'll work because Jesus Christ will be initiated into the equation, and whatever may appear to be impossible initially will be made possible with faith, ladies and gentlemen. Jesus Christ will make anything possible, and he will attend to a situation at hand if it is warranted, if we deliberately initiate these components consistently, and if we acknowledge the impact and submit every single thing within ourselves to God. We will be able to receive the necessary clarity applicable to realizing the impact behind prayer and faith. This morning, actually, I read Matthew chapter 17, and there are some verses comprised in this chapter resonates to everything that I just mentioned, specifically verses 19 to 21. It goes as follows. Then the disciples came to Jesus privately. Oh, and by the way, this is the English Standard Version of the Bible. So if you guys want to follow along, you are more than welcome to. So it goes as follows. Then the disciples came to Jesus privately and said, "Why could we not cast it out?" He said to them, "Because of your little faith. For truly I say to you, if you have faith like a grain of mustard seed, you will say to this mountain, 'Move from here to there,' and it will move, and nothing will be impossible for you." So the context in this passage in particular was the instance of a man aspiring to heal a boy with a demon present inside of him, right? However, he was unable to cast that demon out of him, which is why he brought it to Jesus, and Jesus Christ responded appropriately and casted that demon out of the boy inevitably. However, the man was confused as to why his efforts was in vain. Jesus told him because he was lacking in faith. Without faith, that whatever you may want to accomplish, whatever you may want to shift, may not be feasible into the standpoint of you initially thinking it is, but in reality, it may not be. Even when it may appear to be, even when it may appear that you are capable of doing it alone, once you try it, you will come to the unfortunate news that it will not work because Jesus is called for that situation. Jesus's influence and impact is called to be paramount in that situation for it to actually work, even if it may appear as though it is possible with your efforts. This is why with faith comes power. Jesus is power. Faith alludes to Jesus's impact being prevalent in your life, ladies and gentlemen, which is why I feel as though many times in our life, especially if you reflect on different things that may occur in your personal journey, there may be various things that you consider to be impossible. But bro, I'm telling you right now, if you consider that, think about all the times that you were able to overcome a situation that was extremely strenuous, that was breaking you down, punching you. You were on the ground, down for the count apparently, but you're still here. You are still strong, and that situation subsided after due time, or in due time, and you were able to overcome that situation despite the strenuous and despite the tenacious circumstances that you encountered. You got through it, and you are still healthy. You are breathing. You are waking up every single morning with a fresh breath of life despite undergoing that daunting circumstance. And this daunting circumstance could be extremely subjective. It could be exclusive to what you personally experienced, and you can definitely apply what I'm saying to whatever you underwent throughout your journey, and it could make sense. But that was Jesus Christ in that faith. Having faith will fuel you to undergo these circumstances, and it's going to be it's going to be tough. It's going to be challenging. It's not a standpoint of you automatic, or you having faith and it'll automatically, like the stress, the burden will automatically be lifted, because that's not true. Sometimes it may take a significant amount of time for something to subside. If you take a look at the book of Exodus, the Israelites were under the clutches of Pharaoh for quite some time, while God was working through Moses, Aaron, etc., so on, to free the Israelites. It didn't happen overnight. It didn't happen immediately. It took some time, which is why, the many curses God imposed on the Egyptians, the many things that was presented throughout the book was necessary. It requires a substantial amount of time. Despite having that faith, despite having prayer, your prayer time with God, your exclusive time with God, God requires a significant amount of time in many components to convert your prayer, to convert your faith into something that shifts in your life significantly to your liking, something that you are called to become, something that is called to be prevalent and a pending aspect within your life. Something that may be pending converts into something that is submitted, ladies and gentlemen. What faith does is allow you to, like I mentioned in the book of Matthew, chapter 17, faith will allow something that may be far-fetched into something that is in close proximity. It may be a long shot. However, that long shot, if you were viewing it from a binocular lens, like from a set of binoculars, if you take a look from at a far distance, a scenery, it may appear to be far, and your binoculars are incapable of zooming in. That faith will allow your binoculars to seamlessly zoom in for you to get a better view of the scenery ahead in the distance. What faith will do, right? The mountain that was presented in the book of Matthew, chapter 17, appears to be immovable. It is overbearing. It is large. It is impossible, unless you are Goku or something like that from Dragon Ball Z. It is impossible to move that mountain in first glance. However, what faith will do is it'll allow that mountain to be it'll allow that mountain to be transformed into a tiny little pebble, a huge immovable object, to an object that is in comparison to an ant, if you consider the size. And you will be able to throw the pebble, you'll be able to move it, and you will be able to traverse along your journey despite that mountain initially blocking your path. Now that mountain has been transformed to a pebble, you are able to proceed along your journey. That's how faith operates. But it's up to you to fuel your spirit. It's up to you to dictate your life surrounding faith so Jesus can respond accordingly. And it's always great, it's integral to have this in mind as well. Whenever you may want something to occur, this could be a semblance as to what I just mentioned, but I feel as though phrasing it in this sequence could emphasize it even further. If you want something to transpire at your time, do not be disappointed if it doesn't occur exactly during the time frame of your preference. Whenever we may want something, more times than not, it will never be delivered. Whenever we may want something at a specific time, but it's always going to be delivered. As well as if you consider my circumstance, right? I'm currently unemployed. However, I have goals, and my aspiration is to live a peaceful, comfortable life. And my aspiration ties into landing my dream, like a dream job, or whatever. I mean, I really don't know if I have a dream job anymore, but hypothetically, if I have a dream job, I would like to pursue this peace and comfort and tranquility with this dream job, right? And I have faith it's going to happen despite me being unemployed for a significant amount of time. I have faith it's going to happen. I know Jesus is going to come through and provide me with the opportunity of my desires, provide me with the opportunity in the space that I'm called to be in for the better part of my life, right? It's going to happen. However, it may not happen in the way that I may predict it to happen. It may not happen according to my plan. I want to be in pursuit of a peaceful, comfortable lifestyle, right? Attached to this dream job, attached to goals. However, it's not going to be done in that way. It's going to be done in God's way. However, it's going to amount into the same exact thing, a peaceful, comfortable lifestyle. That's why it's great to improvise. That's why it's great to be open-minded, so you can intensify your opportunity to comply and clarity to comply with what God wants you to do, to convert your faith into something phenomenal. Have faith, ladies and gentlemen. It works. On the surface, it may appear to be asinine, but trigger your inner spirit. Talk with God, converse with God. Open your word, ladies and gentlemen, and you will receive the applicable vision as to why I am saying what I'm saying. Faith and prayer works. Connect with God, connect with Jesus Christ. They love you sincerely, and they want all the best for you. You may think you want the best for yourself. Imagine how God and Jesus Christ feels. Imagine how the Holy Spirit feels. They want what's best for you, which is why they have a plan orchestrated for you upon birth. God has initiated and constructed a chronological plan, organized plan for you upon birth. They want the best for you, but you have to realize the impact behind faith, and you have to embrace it. That's all I have to tell you, or that's all I have to say for you guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed my little ramble session. And when I, you know, disclose my thoughts in this angle, I want you guys to realize that this can apply to literally anything. Like I mentioned, I disclosed my example of me wanting to live a peaceful, comfortable lifestyle, and I know it's going to happen. If you are short on money and need a sufficient amount of money at a specific time, it's going to happen. It may feel as though it may not happen because of the uh, deficient amount of leeway, I would say, that you have and wiggle room to make a specific amount of money to reach that threshold at that given time. I'm telling you right now, it may appear as though it's impossible, but it's going to be made possible with faith. Just have that reminder. And this context, this concept can be applied to literally anything of your desires. So just apply it. Hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. I will see you guys the next time I feel led to record another video. Take care. God bless.